This tutorial details how to use the Superbill, Electronic Health Record Documentation screen. You will primarily only use this screen for evaluations or major changes in coding from one visit to the next, and use the RCT screen for the additional encounters documented under their plan of care. Primarily because, if you are using the same or very similar codes for each subsequent visit, those changes, if any, can be completed from the bottom of the RCT screen. For those practices that do not use the EHR functionality of the system and wish to continue to document on paper, or for those new practices who are just getting up on the system and have some old claims that need to be produced and sent, you will use the Superbill to create those encounters for the claim creation, without having to touch the RCT screen or full editor. Typically, this will be the last screen the practitioner uses when creating a new patient eval, or making significant coding changes. They will use their highly customizable Superbill to select the procedure codes, determine the number of units for some modalities, and adjust pointers as needed. Keep in mind, here in the Superbill, you will notice that you have many of the same options that you had in the RCT screen and full editor. The patient profile, for example. Your action buttons are located at the top of the screen. You can always jump to a different documentation screen at any time during the encounter. Just don't forget to save before doing so. Don't worry, the system will remind you. If this is an existing patient being seen on a return visit, and you used a past encounter as a template for today, all of your coding from the past encounter is also used as a template for today. See the tutorials that cover the process and the specific Import Manager tutorial for more information. You can still attach scanned-in documents, pictures, or other files directly to this encounter documentation. You can still edit your rendering practitioner, service date, and encounter type. Although generally used in the RCT screen first, you can still access your episodes from the Superbill, unless you are going to still be using paper documentation, in which case you will create your episodes here. If you need to make adjustments or add diagnosis codes from the Superbill, you have that full functionality here as well. See the Diagnosis Code Manager tutorial for details on this feature. Since your practice will have its own customized Superbill with the codes grouped and titled in any fashion it sees fit, finding the correct codes for today should be a snap. Select your first code, and you will see that the system defaults to 1 unit and defaults to point this procedure to all diagnosis codes. When coding certain modalities, you may wish to use multiple units. Use the drop-down to do this. If a procedure is not applicable to a specific diagnosis code, deselect as required. Note, due to the fact that you can only point to the first 4 diagnosis codes on a claim, the system only allows you to make the connections for the first 4 codes. As mentioned previously in other tutorials, all diagnosis codes beyond the first 4 will automatically populate in box 19 on the CMS 1500 HCFA claim form. If you are not yet done coding and wish to come back and work on this later, just as in the other documentation screens, leave the Show on Open Encounters Work List checkbox checked, and save and close. If you are ready to send this claim to billing, make your Open Encounters checkbox determination and send to billing. Note, this automatically saves the encounter. You do not need to save and then send to billing.